If you own horses, donkeys, or mules, you're probably familiar with fly pests. Not only are flies a general nuisance, but they can also carry pathogens that cause both human and equine disease. So, what is the best method to control flies? Hi, I'm Jessica Brown, a member of the Veterinary Entomology Laboratory at Penn State, as well as a fellow horse owner. You can use Integrated Pest Management, or IPM, to control pests in an effective and environmentally safe way. Using IPM involves a combination of common sense practices to break the pest life cycle. However, in order to do this effectively, the first step is to figure out which flies are actually pests. Did you know that there are thousands of species of flies in North America? Many of these flies do very important work in our ecosystems, like pollinating flowers and crops and decomposing organic matter. However, there are a few species that are considered pests on animal facilities. Most of these are called filth flies because of their ability to develop in animal waste and other organic matter like wet feed and bedding. Each pest fly species has a unique biology that may influence what control method should be used or how effective it may be, so it's important to know which species you're trying to control. For example, jug traps that smell attractive to houseflies will not attract other fly pests such as stable flies or face flies. There are 4 main filth fly species found on equine facilities: houseflies, face flies, stable flies, and horn flies. While most of these pests are small and look similar, each has some unique characteristics that can be used to help tell them apart. The housefly is a common pest that can be found around horses. This species can develop in a wide range of waste material produced in equine facilities. Houseflies are about 1/4 of an inch long and a dull gray color with 4 black stripes on the thorax, which is the area right behind their head. These flies have yellow on the side of their abdomen and a sharply bent wing vein. Houseflies are most active during the day. They will rest on ceilings, walls, posts, fence lines, feed buckets, and other surfaces, and can be found around waste areas like manure buckets, wheelbarrows with waste shown here, or manure piles. In the pasture, houseflies can be found on the horses around the eyes or nose, or on the neck, shoulders, or body. They do not bite, but instead will feed on secretions from animals, including mucus and saliva. Face flies are often confused with houseflies, as these two species look very similar, down to the bend in the wing vein. In fact, other than behavior, it can be nearly impossible to distinguish the two without a microscope. So how can you tell which species you have? Location. Face flies are only found on the head and sometimes can be found in large numbers. These flies are not often found in stables or around manure and waste since they do not develop in horse manure. Houseflies will be found flying around and landing on waste and manure, and while they can be found on the face, they will also land on other parts of the body like the withers, shoulders, and back. Unlike face flies that could be anywhere on the face, houseflies usually only aggregate around the eyes or nostrils. Unlike houseflies and face flies, stable flies are biting flies. They have biting mouthparts that point forward from their head. Like houseflies, stable flies have 4 dark stripes. However, they have a checkerboard pattern on the abdomen where houseflies are unpatterned. The wing vein on a stable fly does not have the sharp angle found on housefly wings. Stable flies are blood feeders and will feed primarily on the legs of horses. So if you see horses stomping, it's probably from a stable fly biting the leg and blood feeding. The name stable fly is actually a bit misleading, as well as this species generally isn't found in a stable. When not feeding, stable flies rest on fence lines or structures in a characteristic way, pointed slightly up. This is distinct from houseflies that rest horizontally. Horn flies are another biting fly. In fact, they can bite a horse up to 30 times a day. They have short, forward-facing mouthparts. These flies are grayish without distinct stripes and have overlapping wings. These flies are about half the size of houseflies. However, the ultimate size of any fly species depends on suitable nutrition and environmental conditions during development. So size is not the best way to identify a fly pest. Horn flies spend most of their lives on their animal hosts and can be found on the back or belly of a horse in the pasture. While they bite like stable flies, they're not found on the legs like stable flies are. These flies will also not be found in the barn. While the 4 common species of pest filth flies found in equine facilities can look very similar, by observing a few physical characteristics and behavior, you can successfully identify the problem species. Remember, All these flies can be present on farms at the same time, so make sure you're scouting all areas for potential pests. Knowing which pest or pests you have is important for implementing IPM methods, which will save time and will be healthier for you and your horses.